You know, this coronavirus and the isolation that flows from it is bringing up a lot for many of us, a lot of fear. It's sending a lot of us into what we call the dark night of the soul, where we're questioning almost everything about our lives, questioning ourselves. You know, the instability of our incomes, the questions in our mind about how long it's going to last, how long we're going to be without work, are we going to make it, threatens us at our very core, or I guess you could say your root chakra. It shakes the foundation that we have for our life that may be a shaky foundation because of how it was formed in our childhoods. So if you're having a lot of stuff come up, sadness, maybe the occasional temper tantrum finding its way into your day, if you're just feeling very emotionally shaky, it may be worth checking in with your inner child. Because, you know, those shaky foundations go back to when the inner child was the one that was dominating our physical presence. Don't think I said that right. As adults, we can look at things intellectually and we can tell ourselves that this is temporary and we will be okay. But our inner children are reacting emotionally. That's it. Or so we think. I decided to do this inner child dialogue and didn't expect that the inner child would basically become the therapist. So don't assume that because you are tapping into your emotions and your thoughts when you were a very young child that you don't have some wisdom that can be dredged up. Sometimes our inner children not letting that monkey brain take over and come up with some brilliant ideas. So this may be a little too vulnerable for some to watch, and please don't in that case. Or you could consider that if you're feeling uncomfortable, it could be that your own inner child has been triggered. And it might be time to do some exploring. Not everyone has this kind of techie software to play with, of course, but just having that dialogue in your head is useful, or writing it down, kind of an exchange, a conversation between the adult you and the inner child you. I hope there will be some value in this. Take care.
I don't know why I'm telling this to the inner child I'm supposed to be nurturing. It is so not cool, but I'm scared.
What are you scared of? Is there a monster who hides under your bed like the one that hides under mine?
Plenty of monsters, but none of them hide under my bed. They stare back at me in the mirror every day.
Would it be okay if I pretend I'm a mommy and try to make you feel better?
That makes me wanna cry. How did you stay so sweet after all you've been through?
I don't know. I guess because I love you and I want you to have someone who will be sweet to you after you run out of sweet from giving it to everybody else.
Is that what you see happening? I bestow kindness on everybody else and don't have any left for myself?
Well, yeah. Because it seems like the people of you share your sweetness with tend to take for granted that it's your nature, and it doesn't seem to occur to them that you might need them to treat you the same way.
I guess no matter how many times it fails to play out the way I think it should, I do still live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It still confuses me that such a good rule doesn't apply to me personally.
I know you've been sad, and you're tired of being a grown-up. I'll be the grown-up this time. Okay?
If you are really okay with that, I'd love to have someone to talk to. I'm tired of just talking to myself. Thank you.
You're welcome. So just relax and lean on me as long as you're comfortable. What exactly is it you're afraid of if it's not monsters under your bed?
It's a lot. I'm afraid once I start, I won't be able to stop.
That's okay. I have as much time to give you as you need.
I'm afraid I'm never going to be able to see beauty in myself, to look through eyes that see my divinity rather than eyes that see all I perceive is wrong with me. I know I can trust the universe to provide the experiences that will lead me to finally living my bliss, but I'm afraid I'll never be able to trust my own part as co-creator, because I've gotten so used to waiting for the other shoe to drop, gotten used to suffering. And most of all, I'm afraid I'll never be able to figure out how to live free of fear.
Is that all of it? Isn't there something else?
I guess it would be silly to try to hide something from my own inner child.
Yep. I do pay attention, you know. Spill.
I'm afraid I'm never going to be good at anything again. It seems like everything I try ends up in failure. It used to be so easy. I was so good at what I did when I still had a career. Now it seems like everything fizzles quickly, and then I feel foolish that I thought I had a good idea or something of value to offer. I should have appreciated it more that I was so good at what I did. I took it for granted.
You didn't have your career anymore, but you eventually discovered you had gifts, and now you know you wouldn't be you without them. So you know the blessings that came of that loss.
Yes, I do know the blessings of that. But it took a damn lot of work to get to where I am, and my gifts are mediocre at best, because I still have a hard time trusting myself. I hear about all these special abilities I should have access to, but I'm limiting myself by believing I'm never going to be very good. I know I should be able to get past the self-doubt I took on because of the gaslighting, but I'm still always wondering if I've misunderstood or just plain got it wrong. That keeps me from expanding in the ways I want to grow.
Seems like you're choosing to only see where you think you should be instead of noticing how far you've already come from where you started.
Oh, you're exactly right on that. I know I should celebrate the improvements I've made, but that critical voice has had so much more practice than the gentle loving voice. The loudest gets my attention more often, but it seems by now I should be able to see it for what it is.
Let's shine the spotlight on the attention-grabbing elephant in the room. Whose voice is it you're choosing to hear still because you're hanging on to the familiar?
It's her mom's voice. I know that. I've tried so hard to make it go away, but it loves the spotlight just like she always did. She's dead. Why do I still hear her in my thoughts?
I have an idea about that. Don't you always tell people what we resist persists?
I do. So because I try so hard not to be critical of myself like she was, I'm actually putting more of my focus on it?
That's what I think. Do you wanna play the what if game?
I'm not familiar with that one, but we'll try it. I'll try anything at this point.
First, I have a question. Remember the other day when you were trying to accept why your DM was right to not want you in his life? Do you remember what you kept telling yourself?
Yes. I kept saying I could understand why he'd think I wouldn't be worth the trouble. I wasn't sure where I was getting that phrase, but then remembered she used to say that I wasn't worth all the trouble I caused.
One of your best qualities is that you can always see things from everybody else's perspective. So another question. Do you always give equal weight to each side of the story? Would you treat the opinion of a mentally disturbed person you ran into on the street the same as maybe your grandma you'd known your whole life?
Well, no. I'd have compassion for the mentally ill person, but would probably take the input with a grain of salt.
So if you see yourself as not worth the trouble, do you think maybe you give more weight to the other person's view of something than you do your own?
I never would have thought of it that way, but you may be right.
So what if, do you get it now? What if the next time you look in the mirror and hear criticism, you look at it as to the source of the opinion before you decide how much weight to give it? So if you hear, "You're fat and old, and no one will find you attractive," you might think, well, how much weight will I give criticism from someone that thought they were doing their child a favor by showing them harsh realities but ultimately was hurting the child? Should I give more weight to my own thoughts, now coming from someone who has learned to love themselves? And if you can't get to that loving place, you could maybe think, but my friends think I'm beautiful, so there must be something there.
It sounds like a very good game plan. I will try it. Thank you, you wonderful smart little girl.
You're welcome. I know how important fairness is to you, so it makes sense to find a way to see your own worth as equal to the worth of others.